What's up guys, it's your favorite clout chaser, Oaken64, and I have a question for you. Have you ever wanted to make something original? Maybe it's a character you've spent so much time crafting to be the ultimate blend of cool and funny. And it's not enough to just think about them, you want to talk about them. You want to talk about it with other artists who get it. Maybe you want to draw them, or have them get drawn too. Maybe you want to put your skills to the test, not only in terms of illustration, but also in writing. OCTs were a community-run event that would test your mettle against other artists vying for art, recognition, or just a feeling of proving oneself. Original character tournaments, or OCTs like I've mentioned, are community-run events featuring original characters. This means that they aren't part of a pre-established franchise unless the OCT calls for it. The way that they typically go is that two artists draw separate comics, portraying their characters winning against the other, and a set of judges make the choice on who's the winner of that round. The winner of the round advances, and said comic becomes canon to the context of the tournament. If it sounds like a lot of work, it's because it is, but I'll get to that later. For now, I think we should start from where these events originated from, and how they became as popular as they are. The most popular example that is normally credited as one of the most influential OCTs are Endzone and The Law of Talos. From 2007 to 2009, the artist's Unknown Person had taken place in these now famous OCTs. I would recommend this video that covers Unknown Person's rounds in a bit more detail. These OCTs came right before what I would argue is the explosion of the modern social media landscape that we reside in today. Internet culture at the time was far more separated. DA folks didn't necessarily cross-post to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr. This meant that communities were separated from one another and developed quite differently. However, after the mass exodus of Tumblr users in late 2018, many users migrated to Twitter due to the changing of the rules regarding not safe for content. And DA had been on the decline for many artists, following a UI change, the change of the search system, amongst other things. Twitter became the social media hub for a lot of artists at the time. I'm not going to say that OCTs died off in between then and now, as there had been a steady stream of them from after the Law of Talos, and before the one I'm going to mention. But during the pandemic, there was a golden opportunity for them to make a resurgence, and one man can be seen as responsible for breathing new life into these events. The year was 2020. The pandemic had shut down most people's opportunity for going outside. Tsukoshi Kaze, an artist and a fan of making and utilizing original characters in his own right, had an idea. On his Twitter, he had opened up the floodgates for an OCT, but not exactly one that was decided by judges. No. This one was purely decided by polls, up to the people to decide who advanced and who didn't. It was... Whoa, I can't say it fell down to purely a popularity contest, but it's kind of what you'd expect from doing a tournament based off of Twitter polls. Upsets based on memes, people getting angry over it. It came with the territory. Though, even though people weren't forced to make anything, most did, as it not only kept the idea of the characters in voters' heads, it meant that they had another way to convince them to vote, apart from asking them directly. But the Tournament of Steel was a strong proof of concept, one that Tsukoshi and many others would take into the future, and boy did he come back in a big way. The Tournament of Two Souls was Tsukoshi's first proper OCT, a tag team tournament where two characters had to go on a multiverse-spanning adventure, fighting team after team for the greatest power in the multiverse. Many people applied, myself included, but only 32 could get in. And man, even though I didn't join officially, I remember tapping into the spectator events, as I love to always make an impression of some kind. Kilo's Point, Center of the Universe, Splinter City, High Midnight Tournament, the Summer Leagues, Highland OCT, Chop to the Top, and the Junkyard OCT are some of the many OCTs that were launched in 2021. Almost all were inspired by Tsukoshi's initial foray into bringing artists together. Some were able to be completed, some unfortunately fell to the wayside. But to many, they were more than just tournaments. To many artists, they were a community, sharing memes, having a laugh with like-minded individuals. Many people became friends after a tournament. For some artists, it became an important part of their artistic development. Creating a whole comic is a lot of work, and especially within a specific time frame, it makes it extremely difficult. On top of having to deal with the pressure of representing your opponent properly, as you only have the artists themselves to get information from, Many of them were also juggling other responsibilities, and many were doing this for the love of the game, as opposed to the reward that awaited the winner. It showed many artists that they can do something amazing if they were focused on it. Every time I've been in one of these OCTs, whether as a competitor or as a spectator, there's always a lot of fun to be had. Whether we are talking about the rounds, or maybe an intermission that may lead to an interesting plot point later on in the rounds. A lot of artists pour their heart and soul in order to get these things done, and everyone shows not only their skill over their craft, but also their perseverance in terms of getting these massive overtakings done, despite real life interfering or burnout hampering an artist's creativity, and sometimes it's just not possible to finish. I do feel sorrowful when I see an artist or OCT can't finish, but I understand. Passion can be fleeting, and hosting one of these can be exhausting. Asking yourself and several other artists to commit to the same character for months, if not years, for very little return is a lot. I've never won an OCT, but it's hard to fight losing motivation. Hell, I've gone against Koshi myself in an OCT that he went on to win, and the amount of effort that he put onto his rounds was staggering. Of course I was upset that I lost, but I mean I can't be too angry when my opponent puts in so much work to represent my and so many other people's characters. I've taken part of my fair share of OCTs, but it's mainly to show that I've been part of this community since Shukoshi made the Tournament of Steel. I even wanted to make my own back then, but I never went anywhere with it. Of course, a lot of the artists were young, and we had a lot more free time to draw to our heart's content, myself very much included. But as the years went on, the passion never left. OCTs did become a little less centralized as more and more artists decided to make their own, while Shukoshi was still busy with Crown of the Beast. Shukoshi was back making another thing involving OCTs, but he mentioned specifically that it wasn't a tournament. But we learned that later on it is an OC event. OC event, you might ask? What's the difference? Well, the difference is that we're not necessarily competing against each other in the same way like in an OCT. Rather, what happens is that everyone is given a prompt, and then they draw it. If they don't either adhere to the prompt or draw it, they are eliminated. At the end of the event, the judges do make a choice on who the winner of the whole event is, but it's not playing with a strict canon apart from that, and it lets things build upon themselves more organically. Want an example? I met a fellow artist in the first OC event that was held in the Discord server. His name is Primal Sturgeon, and for the sake of the OC event, I made a new character. His name is Draw. The A is upside down, by the way. Over the course of the event, he had grown to become fond of dinosaurs, while in another artist's comic, Sword King, Draw and his character, Kikiru, were bitter rivals. While in my own comics, some other artists had influenced me in how I should perceive my own character, and now any other time that I decide to use him, I can keep this in mind, assuming that I keep the Grand Scramble canon to Draw, which I probably will, as it compounds itself into making his character far more complex than just character who hates the world. The OC community, whether it be an OCT or an OC event, do genuinely love to build each other up, regardless of skill level. At the time of this recording, Shukoshi, Arcane, Jackie, and Red are doing another OC event. Is what I would say if there weren't two this time. Yes, there are two OC events going on concurrently. The OC Grand Prix, which is an elimination style event, not unlike the one I had mentioned earlier, hosted by Shukoshi and Arcane, where your character and their vehicle are vying to race across the galaxy in order to race the distinguished Savannah Solaire in her very own space station, where stakes are high and competition will be even rougher than that. Are you a capable enough driver behind the wheel to take home the gold in the Grand Prix? And the Gracious Tailors, hosted by Red and Jackie, which is a non-elimination event, which means that if you don't complete a round, you can still continue to the next round if you so choose. The Gracious Tailors takes place in the Arachnid Hall, where the daughter of the wealthy Funnel Peacock, Petal Peacock, is getting married. After the passing of his wife, Funnel has lost his creative spark, but still wants the best dress for his daughter's special day. So he had sent letters across the multiverse in order to find and test those who had appeared, in order to see who would have the honor in designing the perfect wedding dress for Petal, and cementing themselves as the greatest tailor. I've joined the Gracious Tailors with a character of my own, hopefully one you'll see more later on this channel, and I've put the tweets to both events in the description if either catches your fancy. Submissions close in about 2 weeks at the time of this upload, so if you got a character who's a racer or a tailor, or maybe even neither, bring them in. We'd be more than happy to chat with you about it. I made this video as a quick benchmark for the OC community. I don't have TikTok and I don't use Instagram, but I know that OC's gotta be popular over there as well. Hell, I even know that they're popular here. But to the people who I always see in one OCT or OC event to the next, hi! And thank you for sticking around. There's a lot of places that you could spend your time, and you've decided to stay here and create your own stories. I appreciate that, and I'm very sure that the artists that you've worked with or against do as well. If you do like this video, let me know. I'd be more than happy to try and cover more OC stuff or OC event stuff in the future, whether it be a recap, an analysis, or maybe even an interview. Thank you all for watching this impromptu video of mine, and I'll see you next time. This is Oaken64, signing out.